Joining us now, Vanessa Neumann, Special Representative to the United Kingdom. She is a special representative of the Juan Guaido government, now recognized by 65 countries across the globe. And once Juan Guaido takes over as president of Venezuela, Vanessa Neumann will be the official ambassador for Venezuela to the United Kingdom. She's live in London. Vanessa, great to have you.
Great to be on. Thanks, John. Always a pleasure.
Vanessa, you've been coming on a long time talking about this. We have a major defection today of a key military leader, figure, general in Maduro's armed services. Sanctions on him have been removed by the Trump administration. Can you elaborate on what is going on, what it means?
Yeah, actually. So the Trump administration has been saying to all these guys, listen, they're all sanctioned for drug trafficking, human rights abuses, and all sorts of terrible things, right? I mean, like over 100 of them, I think, have been sanctioned. Frankly, I've lost count. There are so many of them. But the administration has always said, listen, change your mind, come to the right side, come back to defend the constitutional president, which is my boss, Juan Guaido, and we will remove the sanctions. So what they did is the guy they removed the sanctions from, it's worse. It's not just that he's a general, which he is, but he's the head of the intelligence service. It's as if he's the head of Sabine. It's as if you were the head of the CIA had defected. It's that kind of thing. So what happened was why he switched sides is last week they released the political prisoner who was once upon a time a presidential candidate, maybe again, Leopoldo Lopez, was released from prison. These guys held him captive. These major intelligence guys held him, and then it was obviously on this guy's orders that they released him. He got out, had the big event in the air base, and then and this guy fled. So as a reward for saying thanks for supporting the right side, thanks for supporting the constitutional president, they let him keep his money. So they're going to do that so that other people will do the same, to continue to break the military, which is really what we need to have happen here.
Walk us through this. I love what the Trump administration did, the way you explained it so beautifully, Vanessa Neumann, Special Representative Neumann. Soon I'll be calling you Ambassador Neumann. But Representative Neumann, walk us through. I mean, I love what the administration did, because they're basically providing an incentive now, an economic incentive to abandon the Maduro government as a military leader. So they set this example. Walk us through the progression. What do you see happening, and how does that lead to government transition? Just walk us down the lane. Yeah,
sure. So last week, we had sort of a bit of a misfire, so to speak. The Guaido had said that he was going to lead, massive rallies, massive street protests on the 1st of May, and he was going to lead all these people toward the presidential palace. And simultaneously, we were having negotiations. The Americans have been talking to him, but we have been talking to him, saying, please change your mind, come and support us. Well, in the end, what happened is it sort of went a day early, and then with the release of this guy, and the top military command, who had struck deals to leave and to flip, didn't. At the last minute, they changed their mind. They said that they were going to, make a statement, that they were going to recognize the National Assembly as their legitimate commander, which is basically our side, and then and the Minister of Defense was going to flip, and all the military would go with them. That didn't happen. Mm-hmm. We don't know why. Mm-hmm. They changed their mind, and they reneged on the deal. Mm-hmm. But what we know is now they're all negotiating for the exit of Maduro, which is what John Bolton has called, he said he's surrounded by scorpions in a bottle. Mm-hmm. Eventually, he'll be betrayed because he's surrounded by traitors. So what we're doing is, you need the military to come and change sides, because this is very typically Latin American, but frankly, it's anywhere in the world. If you don't command the military, you don't have territorial control. So Guaido is recognized globally as by more than 60 countries, but as the legitimate president. But the military, because they're involved in drug trafficking and all sorts of other activity, and even corruption through food, they won't switch sides. So the U.S. is basically giving them financial incentives, saying, we took your money away, but you can have it back if you come and break this. We need the military because you need territorial control. You need people who keep the peace, who bring security into line. You know, Venezuela is a country twice the size of Iraq, and it's covered in mountain and jungle and all sorts of things. So, you know, it's a very complicated terrain. So having it happen this way would avoid foreign countries having to go in.
Well, so what you want to do is you want to avoid direct military intervention, right? We agree on that.
Yes.
That is the
that is the goal. The goal has always been
right.
Try and persuade Maduro that his time is up, get on an airplane out, and let's move on.
And the quickest pathway to do that is by mass defections of his military leadership.
That's right. Yeah, the mass defections of it has to be like the Secretary of Defense, Pedrino Lopez, who was negotiating with us and was supposed to change his mind, and the head of the army, Suarez Churio, and what they say, the men will follow them. If they say, I'm changing sides, then the rest of the military will follow them. So what we saw last week was you had quite a few mid-level military and lower level the lower level was sort of kept in their barracks. The mid-level, some of them supported Guaido, but they didn't have enough because the senior brass didn't, and then the lower level ones who are actually starving. I mean, their kids don't have enough to eat and are sick and are dying because they can't get medicine. They're suffering all the same things the rest of the country is, but they're under surveillance. They're under a lot of control and terror by the Cubans who spy on them, who tell them they're being spied on, and then pick them up and torture them. We have about 200 military commanders being tortured. So we need basically the top ones to flip, to come and support the Constitution, get on the right side, and then and to make this as peaceful as possible.
So
apparently he was going to get on an airplane last week, and you know there is an exit strategy for Maduro. He can get on a plane. There are countries that have negotiated to take him. Right, that's the negotiation. You just say, hey, if you take this bad guy, we'll give you a better loan rate or something. Who knows? And he didn't, because the Russians called up and said, listen, stay put. The same way we kept Assad in power, we're going to keep you in power. So just stay put. Don't go.
What is the incentive here for the Russian government to keep Maduro in power?
They're still owed about $10 billion. So they basically, they lent about $17 billion to Maduro, and about $10 billion is still owed. And they want repayment on that. They also want an oil refinery and some natural gas rights that they had negotiated. So what they want is that they want our side, the Guaido interim government, to guarantee that we will pay that before they leave. But those deals were negotiated basically without our consent, without constitutional order. They're completely illegal, and they're absolutely vicious. I mean, they're under conditions that we would never have agreed to. And so we have the right to renege on them. But they say, promise you'll pay me, or I'm going to help prop up Maduro. Yeah.
So,
and we have a famine unfolding. So, we have a famine unfolding, an exodus that's going to surpass Syria shortly. We're not there yet, but we will be shortly. And the Russians are making, holding back our democracy, holding back our rights, basically for money.
Wow.
Oil and gas.
This
For oil and gas.
Oil, gas, and $10 billion. So
Yeah.
people are starving, right? Just let me get this straight. There's complete chaos in Venezuela. The Russian government is propping up Maduro right now, encouraging him to stay because they have oil and gas interest in Venezuela, and the Venezuelan Maduro government owes them $10 billion. Right?
Yeah, that's right. You got it.
And so they owe him $10 billion. And if Maduro is deposed, that debt's not going to get recognized by the Guaido government, right?
That's right. We don't have to, because we don't have to recognize it at all, because we don't. They didn't ask the National Assembly, which is the legitimate body that's supposed to sign debts like that. And they've signed things that are completely unconstitutional. So we could say no. But the Russians are saying, say yes, or we're going to keep the horror and the human rights abuses going. It's really vicious.
So, okay, the next time Maduro was ready to get on a plane to Havana, like what is the Guaido's government position on what happens to Maduro? Are they just going to let him live in exile there, or are they going to demand his return and prosecution? Because if they do that, then Maduro, I mean, if the alternative is you're going to, get prosecuted by the Venezuelan government and end up in jail or in a hanging, I mean, why would you leave, right? So what?
Exactly. So that's exactly the issue, right? So you got it, and that's a lot. That's very commonly the issue. That's very the issue with these transitions, right? So people are angry. They've been starved. They've been beaten. Their relatives have been shot. Been terrible human rights abuses. They want revenge, right? They want justice. Not just revenge. Let's be fair. They want justice, right? But the problem is, unless this guy thinks that, his amnesty is for real, that he really can take his billions and go to Havana or go to Russia or wherever else. I don't know. Maybe there's some, country with nice beaches he can retire to. Unless he thinks that that's a real option, he's not going to go. So you've got to make a credible promise that you're going to let him live in peace elsewhere. Now, there's another problem with that. We've done this before in other countries in Latin America, like Chile, Argentina, right? After the military juntas, they all left, and then with the amnesty deals, and, just go away and keep your money, but just go away. And if you do that, then, years later, you'll get some judge or some relative will bring a case, and one of the judges will break the amnesty and brought them back. And we saw that happen in other parts of Latin America, so they'll know that. So it's a tricky one. You have to guarantee him that he will go away. And also, the other thing is, this is a mafia. It's an organized crime group. If he leaves, it might be someone else who kills him. It might be the Cubans. It might be the Russians. It might be the Iranians. It might be Los Zetas cartel, which is the number one recipient cartel of their narcotics. They have a relationship with Los Zetas, which is a vicious assassin cartel in Mexico. Those people don't take kindly to your saying, hey, guys, good luck to you. I've made a deal. I'm going to go retire to the south of France or something. It doesn't work that way. Those guys don't let you go.
Vanessa, we're with Vanessa Neumann. She's special representative of the Juan Guaido shadow government to the United Kingdom. She's live in London. Once President Juan Guaido takes office in Venezuela, she will be the ambassador to the United Kingdom of Venezuela. Vanessa, very interesting. So basically, the cartels that are profiting here from the Venezuelan situation, they don't want Maduro to leave either, right? Because
no, nobody does.
Billions of dollars are on the line.
This is a gang of thugs.
This is just a gang of thugs. So if their problem is if Maduro was deposed or leaves or abdicates and the Guaido government takes over, even though, as you laid out, it would make no sense for them to go after Maduro because they would have to make a deal with him now so he gets out of there, that he's not prosecuted. But that's not going to hold for any of the people involved in drug trafficking. They're all at risk in a Juan Guaido government, right? All of them.
Yeah, that's right. Absolutely. That's exactly right. That's exactly right. All of those people are at risk. So, so they're not going to let him go. That's something. Yeah, and we can't negotiate that.
Right.
We have no
you
control
can't
over
negotiate
that.
that.
So we just have to try and make it as much of an incentive for him to go and for the people around him to pressure him to go.
This is really
It's complicated.
This is a very complicated issue. Certainly, I'm glad you're there shedding light on it. But so our audience knows, I've only got a minute here with Vanessa Neumann, special representative of the Venezuelan Juan Guaido government to the UK. So basically, the forces that want Maduro to stay in power include the drug cartels, the thugs, those involved in the illicit drug trade, and the Russian government, because the Maduro government of Venezuela owes them $10 billion of a $17 billion loan that'll never get repaid once he's out of office. That's done. It's not going to be even recognized by the new government. Plus, they have oil and gas fields there. So the Russian support of Maduro is purely selfish and economic, has nothing to do with the humanitarian crisis or anything else, or power. It's just cash, right?
It's just cash. It's just cash. As we say in my former business, before my diplomatic posting, follow the money. Follow the money. It will tell you what's going on.
What a great segment. Vanessa Neumann, thank you so much. I know you're working hard. You got meetings to be at in London. Thanks for joining us today. Thank you so much. Special Representative, soon-to-be Ambassador Vanessa Neumann, and she's going to grant me her first public interview in London live when that happens, right?
I hope, absolutely. You got it, John.
I love
Definitely.
that definitiveness, Vanessa.